Hello YouTube, this is You Can Do It Dave. So in my final video on the 26-inch round window, it's time to install the window in the new Hobbit home. Okay, so it is going to go right into that round window buck right there. Okay, installed in my new Hobbit home. So let's begin. So when I made up these window bucks, I used 2 sheets of form ply. Okay. And then I used 7 sheets of 3-ply industrial cardboard. And it is pretty tough stuff. Then I wrapped it all in plastic. I think there's like 5 or 6 layers of plastic to keep the moisture from the concrete soaking the cardboard. Okay, so it is a solid unit. We poured the concrete around it. It's nice and smooth on the inside. Should be perfect for this window mount. So now to install this round window in this window buck, the first thing I'm going to need to get is an 18-inch drill bit. Now the idea behind the 18-inch drill bit is when I made these window bucks up, I put the piece of plywood on my router table and had a center point. Okay, so the idea is that if I put the drill bit in that center point and go right through to the other center point, okay, then I know that will be level, straight, and square because it's in 2 separate sheets of plywood. Okay, it will be in the center. So I can drill through and go right through the steel front wall and know that it's in the center of that hole. Okay. So once you get to the point where you've got your drill bit through both sheets of plywood, it should be nice and straight going through the wall. So the problem is with an 18-inch drill bit, you've got 8 inches for the wall and 10 inches for the styrofoam. So that's 18 inches just by itself. So by cleaning out some of the cardboard on the inside, you can push that in, as you can see. Push it in a good 3 or 4 inches. And that way, it will go all the way through. Now the good news is that the actual hole in the wall is 34 inches. So now, since the window is actually 31 3/4, what I can do is I can use a piece of string and a marker, and I will measure that to 31 inches. Okay, I'll put that at 31 inches, and then I'll go outside and I'll mark where the window is going to be on the outside steel. Okay, so 31 inches divided by 2, because you are doing this from the center out, is 15.5. So if you look at the tape measure here, I will have quite a bit of room to mount that window. So now I got to put the marker on the string right at that point, so I can mark the circumference of the hole on the other side of this wall. After some trial and error, I managed to get the string to 15.5, okay, which will make a 31-inch hole on the other side of this wall. And the reason I'm going smaller than I need is I'd rather have smaller than too big. If I have it too big, then when I go to put the window in, if it's off center at all, I'll have a hole in my wall, okay? This way I've got 1/2 inch or 1 inch of play, and when I actually get the window in here, I can then adjust it and make the hole bigger as I need. You can never make the hole smaller, but you can make it bigger. So we'll go outside and we'll mark that wall and we'll see how we do. With the hole drilled out nice and square and level with those form plies, okay, we can now put the string on and mark where this window will be on the front of the house. Now we have a reference point on the front of the house where that window is going to be going. So I can cut a pie shape wedges out of this and fold it in so the window will fit in that hole. So what this is this is about 30 inches wide. So I will cut it slightly smaller than the window. That way I can notch it with my metal cutters and fold them in as I need to. Okay, so I've started cutting out the styrofoam, and I thought, well, before I get too far doing that, I thought I'd better actually put the window in and see how it fits. Okay, so if you can see back in there, my line for the measurement, like I measured the window and then drew that line, well, the line is pretty spot on. You can see the black line in there, okay, on the outside. Come over here. And yeah, you can see the little black line along the concrete there. So it's pretty spot on. So now what I've done on the inside was I've drawn a black marker line on the inside just for reference. Okay. So now the next thing I need to do is to pull that bad boy out of there and start cutting some styrofoam. Okay, so now that I've taken the window back out, you can see the interior lines that I drew almost match up perfectly with the outside lines that I've been cutting. So that tells me that I'm on the right track. I can cut out that exterior black line, dig out all the styrofoam, maybe leave a little bit of extra styrofoam so the window has something to grip to when I slide it in. It's not too loose. And then cut the outside hole a little bit smaller. Before I can permanently install the window in its new home, I need to make sure it's waterproof. Okay, so what I've done is I've started applying the same waterproofing membrane that I used for the outside of the Hobbit home and the roof. I've applied that and I've stuck it down to the outside of the window. Okay, so that entire surface is now waterproof. Now the thing about this stuff is once you get it hot, it is really super sticky. Okay, so once you start peeling that backing off, as you can see, once you heat it up and get it nice and sticky, it just sticks right like glue. So we'll finish putting this on and then we'll go to the next step. One of the things that I'm planning on doing with this window is I've cut the first piece of waterproofing short. Okay, turn the window upside down and waterproofed the bottom half of the window. So the next piece of waterproofing will actually overlap on top of the window. So any moisture that gets in here is going to go down past that second piece and keep right on going. Okay, if you did it the other way, there's a chance that if you did it the other way with the first layer on top, there's a chance the water would be able to get underneath it. This way, it's not going to get underneath it. So with all the waterproofing successfully stuck on, okay, I'm pretty certain that this is not going to get wet. Okay, it's going to stay dry no matter what. Okay, so just before I install this window, what I will do is I will put on some minimum compression foam all the way around the inside lip. Okay, so when I slide this into the wall, that will compress and hopefully help to keep moisture out. Now, I know that the foam will absorb some moisture. It is a closed cell, so I'm not really sure how much moisture it'll absorb. So I'm actually considering putting in a bead of caulking. So the white steel of the house is here. Put a bead of caulking right around the top of this window just to help the water move away. Okay, but this will be done. This will be done when I put the window in, the very last step. So now that the weather's warmed up enough that I can get out here and work on this thing again, what I'm going to do is I've marked it into a pie shape. I've cut holes in the steel, and from inside to outside, one pie is 15 inches. So I can take that little sliver of metal, fold it in, and anchor it into the concrete. Okay, so I'm going to cut these out, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I got the metal cut. Now the problem I'm running into is that it's too big to bend. So I'm going to have to cut it into slices. Now all I really need is something to anchor this steel to that concrete in there. So as long as I have the length, I can cut it into slices and cut it off. That's not needed. Okay, so I've kind of given up on the idea of having the pieces fold in and attach to the concrete, since there is no noticeable gap here, because I've already backfilled it a bit. I've got it all that weight pushing against it. So I'm not going to worry about trying to fasten it to the wall. Now I'm just shaving off a little at a time, test fitting the window each time, and trying to get it to the point where I can see if this outside ring will match the inside ring. Okay, so after trimming off a little bit at a time, take your time, because you only get one shot at it. I'm to the point now where I have the window flush with the outer wall. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the hammer and tap it in line. Okay, so after very carefully hammering this in and sliding the window into place, now that it fits flush against the wall, I can install a gasket that will seal it against this steel and possibly put in a layer of caulking. We'll see. And that one roll of insulation is just long enough. So now, right now, it's got a little bit of a gap at the bottom, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside and shim it and anchor it to the concrete. Okay, so here it is from the inside. As you can see, it's fairly centered in the hole. Okay. So with the completion of this window being installed, I'm going to say this is the last video for the round window. This is You Can Do It Dave, and I'm building a hobbit home.